Hi guys and welcome to Pheas Airsoft, where today I'm going to unbox this Army Armament KU906 Steyr AUG. Hi guys and welcome back. If you enjoy my video today, please do like and subscribe because you are really helping me out. So hopefully you've seen my recent Taiwan gun unboxing, the third one that I've done, and this is one of the AEGs that were in that order. It is the KU906 or Steyr AUG CQB version. So we'll get started looking at the box. I'm quite excited about this because it's a long time since I've used or seen an AUG, and I do quite like CQB weapons, so we'll have a good look around this. So around the box you just got a few simple markings just indicating what it is, and that's about it. And the box itself just opens up from the top to reveal what's going off inside. So first of all, got a sheet of paper. Taiwan Gun do a free downgrade service, so I've had this downgraded. That said, I'm not sure, their website didn't list what it comes out of the box as a standard. So I'm not sure if they've actually downgraded it or if it was already running at this. But as you can see here, it's averaging out around 320 feet per second, which for the UK is absolutely perfect. Now this was about £130 from Taiwan Gun, and included in the box, there it is, I'm getting pretty excited to get this one out, is a high cap mag. Now I've had an Army Armament many years ago. I had one of their clones of the TM recoil M4 SOP mods, and their high caps were a little bit hit and miss. Not that I'm saying this will be, but I'm a little bit wary of it, and when I get to test it on a site, I have bought a couple of extra high caps, some SEMA high caps, just to make sure that I've got some good quality ones. You also get a tremendously heavy, I'm really impressed, vertical grip to attach to the front raise. That is all metal. It is one of the ones, I'm guessing it is, with the storage compartment inside, so you can put things like a CR123 battery in there or whatever, a few little bits and pieces. But that's got a lot of weight to it, so I'll move that out of the way for now. And the magazine. Underneath the gun itself is an unjamming rod, and we've got the usual literature from Taiwan Gun. So I'll get that out of the way. And there it is. Now, I am pretty damn impressed with that. That looks pretty damn awesome. And in fact, I'm even going to go as far as putting the vert grip on now whilst I'm doing this video. Just get that on. I am pretty impressed with that. For me personally, the only thing that's letting this down is I think I would have liked a little bit longer barrel coming out of here. Maybe I will consider removing the flash hider, which should be, I guess, might be grub screwed on. Might just be very tight. I'll get onto that later. It should be a negative thread under there, so I might put a little extension on it and then a suppressor coming off the front. But that initially, I really like the look of that. I'm not a big fan of the traditional AUG, but the weird tripped out versions like this I'm a little bit more of a fan of, and I just think they had something nice, and you don't see many of these about either. AUGs in general don't seem to be very popular in the airsoft world, which I'm surprised at, because the bullpup design means you get a longer barrel in a shorter space, which means you can have potentially better accuracy and range depending on your hop setup and things like that. So I'm really loving this. We'll start at the back and we'll work forward. So at the back here, you've got your battery compartment, which just is accessed by pulling on this cover here, and that is literally just frictioned in. It's got a little rubber lip that just clicks inside the plastic. Now what I will say is, and what I remembered of old, is that there isn't an awful lot of battery space in here. That is an awfully cramped space to get your wiring in and put your stock cover back on and get a battery in there. So obviously you're going to need some small batteries, so bear with me a second. So ones like this is a 1600 milliamp 7.4. It's a little bit smaller than a traditional NIM mini type battery. That will fit in there quite happily. with plenty of room, and I can still get the battery cover in there as well. And depending on how trigger happy you are, and I am very, very trigger happy, that'll probably last you about half a day. So you'd probably need 2 of those. So it's just something to be aware of. There's not an awful lot of battery room in there. Now I'm told, and I'll clarify this shortly, that there is a quick change spring system in there. If we just undo these 2 screws, this panel should come away and we should have access to the back of the gearbox. And we'll check that out in a minute. Now, what I have noticed holding this is very hollow sounding, and it doesn't fill me full of happiness. It just sounds a little bit weak because of the hollowness. It could be absolutely fine, but just something to be aware of, that does sound, you can hear that, it just sounds a little bit hollow, and there is a bit of flex in that plastic. It could be absolutely fine, but you're better off knowing than not knowing. Moving forward, you've got your mag well at the back, and the magazine does nicely click into the mag well and releases again out. Oh, it wasn't in properly before, there we go. So that's seated in properly and it comes out really nicely. I believe that bit there helps to release the upper from the lower, so you can separate it, and we'll check that out shortly. You've then got your fire selector, although it's not a fire selector. The way an AUG works is you have, it's now on fire, so I can pull the trigger and then it's safe. And the fire selector is done via pulling the trigger, so if I just pull it like that, I'll get a single shot. If I pull it and hold it, it'll fire once and then continue to fire into full auto. So obviously it's just something to be aware of. There's not a selector, it's just hot pull and hold to get full auto, and just pull once to get single shot. Then got your charging handle, which is quite big and bulky and clicks up, which nicely exposes at the back here, under our dust cover ejection port, our hop unit, which is a little bit fiddly to get to, but it's got a rotation style hop, so it's a big wheel there that you just click in the direction it shows to add hop up. Click that back round forward again. And we've then got a metal flash hider, muzzle brake on the front. I do like the muzzle brake, that's quite cool. And we've got an all metal front riz rail mounting there to get the little handle on. Now, because the majority of the weight is in the back of the gun, that's going to be quite comfortable to shoulder, because that's effectively where you want the weight in against your shoulder to sort of get it braced into your shoulder and hold it up there, and then you can quite easily just pull it into you. What I'm going to say is that does feel like it's getting in my way, and I have quite big hands, and particularly on this side I can feel it rubbing. So maybe if I was going to keep this, I'd file this down a little bit just to smooth it off a tad, because I can feel it rubbing. Now I do wear gloves, but I dare say it will still bother me. I am loving the fact that there is so many rails all over this thing. So you've got your big rail on top where there are your 2 metal iron sights on top. You can easily get a scope on there or a red dot sight. You've then got some side mountings here and one underneath, and another side mounting here and one underneath. So you can mount all manner of accessories on this AEG to suit whatever the situation is that you are in. I am pretty impressed with that so far. So what we'll do is we'll get the batteries on it and we'll see what the rate of fire is like, and then we'll have a check in the back there and see if I can remember how to split this down as well. So I've got my usual batteries, so we'll start with the 7.4 2200 milliamp battery from Nuprol. We'll put that in. There's no MOSFET or anything like that. So we've clicked out, single shot. That's nice and nippy actually, I'm quite impressed with that. So we'll go for full auto. That's a really nice rate of fire actually. I was expecting a lot more sluggish than that, in all honesty. I genuinely didn't think it'd be as nippy as that. Typically Chinese AEGs are not very snappy with their rate of fire. So next I've got the 11.1 2600 milliamp battery. We know this will be better, but it's worth seeing anyway. So plug that in, and here we go, single shot. And then if you, ooh, that is really nice on an 11.1. If you can get an 11.1 in that stock, I would say get an 11.1 in that stock, because that's going to make a world of difference. Or change the motor that's in there to a high speed one. That said, even on the 7.4, that was pretty damn good actually. I was impressed with that. Now, there is a smell of burning grease coming off there. So I would dare say that the gearbox probably needs a good clean out, because I would say they've probably over greased it massively and that grease is getting into the motor. So I'll go get some screwdrivers. We'll see if we can pop off the back panel to double check the quick change, and then we'll see if we can separate it as well. So to get to the quick change spring, we should just be removing 2 screws, Phillips head screws from the back here. Right, those are now loose, and let's see if I can, that is definitely coming out. Let's have a look. Can you tell it's been a long time since I've worked on an ARG? A very long time. So let's see if I can get that up. There we go. So it just clicked and worked release free. Now, I can see there underneath that sticker, that is definitely a quick change spring system that will allow you to, in a moment's notice, let's have a look, change your spring, I think. Let's have a look. No, I'm just looking for what is the correct tool to do this, and I should be able to do it with that. And it is just a quarter turn, and that just shot me in the face. So there is our spring and our spring guide. That is a bearing based spring guide as well, which is interesting that they've put as good a quality in that. I'm actually quite pleasantly surprised that that is a quick change spring system, meaning that if you are changing between Woodland and CQB and you want, you know, sort of a little bit different in terms of FPS and things, that's really quick and easy to do. In terms of getting the gearbox out, if I remember correctly, I think the gearbox should just more or less pull out from here, but before I do a disassembly, I will definitely double check that. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see if we can split the upper and the lower, and I believe you just pull that out. So just push that out one way, and that whole upper does just come loose like that. And for my next magic trick, so there is the lower. That is incredibly heavy, as is the upper as well. That's quite heavy. Most of this, if not all of it, is metal, which is really nice to hold. So your barrel is in there. I'm guessing you can twist it and pull it. Not entirely sure. Oops, parts coming off already. Put that back on there. Now, in the past, I've had questionable issues about Army and their build quality. This one, I will hand it to them, does seem to be fairly well manufactured and built. It's pretty damn, it feels solid, doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart in my hands. I'm quite impressed with that. I will wait to see how it performs when I get it onto a site, but you know, the unique look of it, the fact that it's got a nice weighting to it, the bullpup design, so you've got, you know, a longer barrel than what you should have in this size of weapon sort of thing. It is pretty damn good, really. So I will leave you the usual photos in a minute. I hope this has been helpful to you, and I will see you next time. Bye.